So today I'm going to be doing a lesson on the sliding filament theory, and it's presented by myself. So, an outline of today's lesson is we will be going through our learning goals. There'll be a quick lecture and some visuals, including important words for better understanding and the steps of the sliding filament theory. There will be 2 assessment activities, including a full class Kahoot and creating a video applying the sliding filament theory, and then there'll be time for some questions. So what is the learning goal of this lesson? The learning goal of this lesson is you will learn how the sliding filament theory works in the human body and apply it to your own movements. And you will also be able to apply the theory to the activity and assessment you complete today. So what is the sliding filament theory? The sliding filament theory is commonly also known as the cross-bridge cycle. This theory explains how our muscles in our body contract while the muscle proteins work to slide past one another to generate the movement of your body is trying to create. Right now, can everyone please show me themselves bending their elbow and bringing their hand towards their shoulder like a curl-up? This movement you just made is an example of a contraction in the sliding filament theory. If you need additional information for understanding what this theory is when this lesson is completed, you can watch this video before completing the assessment activities. Click on this link. I think it's around less than 5 minutes, and it's in detail of what we're learning about. Here is a visual representation of the 4 steps I'll be explaining in the next few slides. So this is just showing the theory. Important words with some basic definitions for better understanding. I'll only go through a few of these, but refer back to the slide if you get confused at all when I'm talking through the steps. So actin's pretty important. It's an active molecule that is commonly found in your muscle contractions, and it's responsible for combining to meet the needs of the muscle movement. And then the myosin's very important because this muscle works to split the ATP and reacts with actin in muscle contractions. And then your thin and thick filaments are very important as well, and thin filaments contain 2 strands of actin, and they're coiled about one another, and then the thick filaments only consist of myosin molecules, so yeah, those will be referred to many times, but feel free to refer back to this slide if you're confused at all. So step 1 is detachment, shown here in this little visual. During this step, the myosin heads begin to split the highly energized ATP that is always found in muscle cells. The myosin heads then become newly reorganized and energized. This step can easily be recognized as the detachment of the myosin from the muscle, and the myosin begins to work on its own. The newly organized myosin heads begin to bind to the actin. Step 2 is hydrolysis, and here's a little visual of this step. During this step, the myosin heads begin to bend. These movements cause the actin filament to bend and pull as the myosin begins the bending motion. This allows the filament to move closer to the M line, and this causes the sarcomere to get shorter in length. And this step can easily be recognized as the stage when the shape of the filament changes due to the myosin heads bending, which also causes changes in the length of the sarcomere. Step 3 is known as the cross bridge, and here's a little visual of this step. During this step, the highly energized ATP cells attach to the myosin heads. This causes the cross bridge between the two to completely detach. At this point in the sliding filament, the myosin heads have pretty low energy, and this causes the high energy ATP to be released from the actin. This step can easily be recognized as the connection stage when the myosin heads attach, but the ATP is released from the actin. Finally, the last step is step 4, called the power stroke, And during this final step, the myosin heads are fully exposed, shown here in this image. The myosin heads contain ATPase, and which helps split up the high energy ATP and release the needed energy for the movement that your body is trying to create. And this step can easily be recognized as the stage when the final amount of energy for the movement is released, and the process will begin again for any other movements. So, those are the 4 basic steps of the sliding filament theory, and feel free to watch the video, or if you need to go back through these slides on your own, go ahead. But there's 2 assessment activities to check our understanding of this theory. And our assessment number 1 is we will play this 10-question Kahoot as a class, and the link to the Kahoot will be attached here. So this is a preview of the Kahoot. And then assessment number 2 is going to be creating a video project. So a basic overview is you will create a video with a partner, showing yourself doing movements with your body or muscle contractions, and verbally explain the sliding filament theory. These videos will be presented to the class on either Friday, May 8th, or also maybe Monday, May 11th. You may work alone or with a partner. This video should be informative and be able to teach others about the sliding filament theory, and a more detailed rubric for the assessment will be attached right here, and this is what it looks like. So I included directions, which the only other thing I didn't include on the slide is your video should be a minimum of 1 minute. And then here is what the rubric looks like. There's only 4 categories you have to meet: the use of movement, how many movements or examples you used in your video, the application of the sliding filament theory, the creativity of the video, and the time limit and the organization of the video. So that's all I have for today's lesson. Please let me know if you have any questions, or now you'll have work time to work on the project, but first we will play the Kahoot. Thanks for watching.